Most personal finance advice in your 20s is about what you do with your money. Save more, invest more, cut your expenses, which is good advice. But the longer I've been at this, the more I've realized there are three things that might matter more than any of that. And they have very little to do with the numbers. The first one might be the most important, and that's to be intentional about who you marry. Now, people don't always connect marriage and money, and I get it. Marriage is about love, partnership, and building a life with someone. But the reality is whoever you marry will have a massive influence on your financial life. Your spending habits, how much you save, how much you give, what you prioritize, all that gets shaped by the person you share your life with. See, when my wife and we started dating, I had just gotten a degree in finance, so it was already something I cared deeply about. For her, it really wasn't her world. But during our dating and engagement, we had real conversations about money, the kind that most couples skip. Why we felt the way that we did about money, how money was handled in our households growing up, what we thought about debt, how we wanted to merge our finances once we were married. And those weren't always the most comfortable conversations, but they were some of the most valuable conversations that we've ever had. And today, even though I was the one who studied finance and currently work in the space, she's often the one teaching me new things. She's naturally more of a spender, and I'm naturally more of a saver. That balance works really well for us. We pull each other back from the extremes, and having those early conversations made that a lot easier to navigate. And I'm not saying to find someone with your exact financial habits. I'm saying to find someone you can actually talk to about it, someone with similar values, someone willing to grow with you. Because if you never have that conversation, those differences don't disappear. They just show up later, and usually as a fight. Now, that one's tied to a pretty big life decision. This next one is something you're probably already dealing with right now. The second thing is to stop overspending to impress people who aren't really your friends. Think back to high school. Remember how big of a deal it felt to have the right shoes, the latest phone, the right pair of cleats, whatever the thing was for you at your school. You'd think that we'd grow out of that, which some people do, but for a lot of us, the temptation doesn't go away. It just changes shape. The new shoes becomes the new car. The new phone becomes the bigger house. The cleats becomes the jewelry and the vacations that you post about. Different items, same dynamic. Here's a small example from my own life. There have been plenty of times when I've sat down at a restaurant and looked at the menu and saw exactly what I wanted. Often something on the more inexpensive side, but I didn't order it because I didn't want to look cheap in front of whoever I was with. So I'd pick something more expensive. Then, while eating it, I'd realize I probably would have enjoyed the other one more. And transparently, I still feel that pull sometimes. Most of us probably do, but I'm a lot more aware of it now, which makes it easier to catch before it turns into a bigger decision. Now, I'm not against nice things. Buy them if you genuinely think they're right for you. Just be honest with yourself about why you're buying them. Because spending money to impress people who wouldn't even be there for you in a hard season is a steep price to pay for a temporary feeling. And if you enjoy thinking about money this way, I share ideas like this in my newsletter, and the link is in the description if you want to check it out. The third thing is to surround yourself with people who understand and support your financial journey. There's an old saying, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. The people you spend the most time with are shaping your defaults, how they think about money, what they spend on, what they prioritize. It rubs off on you whether you mean for it to or not. In college, I had friends who'd encourage me to invest more in my retirement accounts, who'd send me finance books and YouTubers that they felt that I could learn from. Most people aren't having those conversations in college. I was just blessed enough to be around the people who were. Today, I'm part of a group of guys that meets just about every week. We hold each other accountable, share wins and losses, talk about what it means to be intentional with the things that we've been blessed with. They want to live below their means and spend on what actually matters to them. Being around them has sharpened me in more ways than I can fully explain. And before any of that, there was my family. And they taught me about frugality and patience, about contentment, being okay with what you have instead of always reaching for more. A lot of what they poured into me in those K through 12 years is the foundation that I'm still building on today. Now, I know what you might be thinking. I can't just go and find new friends, and I get that. But one thing I've noticed is that the people that I'm talking about, they tend to find each other. Showing up as someone who's genuinely trying to be intentional tends to attract people who are doing the same. The people closest to you are shaping your defaults. If you want different outcomes, sometimes the most important financial move that you'll make is just being in a different circle. And if this has you thinking about the people that you spend time with, check out this video on the screen. It's about what most people get wrong when they try to act on that. They overcorrect, get weird about money around their friends, and end up hurting relationships that they didn't need to lose. Make sure to like and subscribe if this helped. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.